Well. So, I did assume today would be the preliminary hearing for the David case, so I had scheduled for this episode to be dedicated to the David case. Um, Spoiler alert, they did not have a preliminary hearing today. They just had a regular hearing where they had to schedule the preliminary hearing, which will be next week. Well, I believe, on the 1st of May. So, what I'm going to do going forward, while this case and this trial is going on, I will do Friday episodes as my spotlight episodes. Basically, these episodes will be where I'm focusing on like a single person or a single event. This is where I would do my episodes where I'm going to be discussing any true crime going on. This will be my episodes where I discuss basically any current events going on that's like an actual event, like say, how can I say this without being distasteful? Just like something major or a crisis that's going on that's affecting the community. I'll do my series episodes then. Whereas my Tuesday episodes will go back to being my random, messy, fun episodes that you guys know and love. This is just to give my podcast a little bit of structure, to organize things, and just let it flow naturally. So, basically, if you haven't gotten that from that, this episode I will be updating you guys on what's going on with David and the death of, the murder of Celeste Hernandez. And yeah, even though this is something serious, we got some serious shit to get into. Let's do it. Linkinwitrobby. So dude hit me in my DM, right? And I'm just like, all you niggas freak out, and that's just all it is. First off, girl, fuck him. And you are now listening to Linkinwitrobby. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. You are now listening to the Robby with Podcast. Wow. You are now listening to the Linkinwitrobby Podcast, episode 54. And as I stated in the intro, if you was listening to my intro package, basically what I'm going to be doing now, switching up my format a little bit. I kind of did this a little bit when the Diddy trial was going on, and now that the David trial is kind of heating up and we're getting there close and close, what I'm going to be doing is doing spotlight episodes based around the David case or other type cases depending on what's going on in the media at the time on my Friday episodes. Whereas my Tuesday episodes will be my regular, random episode that you normally hear, my topics, that I have, or the Ask Robbie episode, just typical episodes where I'm going to be doing more of my messy, fun stuff. Whereas Friday's going to be a little bit more serious. I'm going to make my jokes, of course, but a little bit more serious and more centered around some real life shit that's going on right now that needs to be addressed, So, now that we got that out of the way, hopefully everybody understands what's going on going forward. This episode will be centered around the David case. Yes, centered around D4VD. Mr. Burke himself. But before we get into all of that, I want to make sure I get my pleasantries out the way. How is everybody doing? Everybody thinking for themselves right now? No stress, no problems, no drama in your life? How's your loved ones? How's your family? Anything new and juicy going on in your life? Any mess you want to tell me? Keep in mind, you can always send any questions you have, because I do have a future Ask Robbie episode coming up. Any questions you guys may have regarding your love life, friends, sex life, just questions about me you may have, any questions you may have, you can always send them to either my Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, which is the handle robbykavalli, spelled like it sounds. Also, you can send it to my Instagram, robbykavalli, spelled like it sounds. Even if you feel like sending me anything else that may be a little bit too much risque or something you may not want to be there after 24 hours, you can send it to my Snapchat, which is it's robbykavalli. Okay. So, outside of that, and getting all that out of the way, we do have some updates from the David case. So, how I mentioned earlier this week, he was arrested and then charges were filed. Well, of course, the judge had basically stated and directed that the coroner release the cause of death for Celeste Hernandez. And what do you know? It happened. They released exactly what they said they would. And boy, oh boy, was this a lot of information. I battled with if I wanted to touch on all of these details because it's a lot. I'm not even lying. It's a lot. It's a lot of gruesome stuff. It gets very trigger warning friendly. Just with the mutilation of it all. I mean, honestly, there's no way around it. Like, there's mutilation involved. So this may be a little bit hardcore for some people. So I'm not going to go into detail of every little detail. I think we get the gist of what happened without me having to go into very, very details of it. But I will touch on the cause of death. Also, within this episode, I'm going to touch on some more things that happened throughout this week. We found out TMZ reported on his living conditions, how they will be at the jail that he's in, since he's been moved to a segregated jail, isolated jail, basically. And then touch on some things that we found out during the hearing, well, scheduled hearing that was earlier today on Thursday. You guys will be hearing this on Friday, but yes. Boy, when I tell you this is a lot of shit going on, I'm just trying to keep myself together and just do the best I can. But at least I'm not him, you know? And at least I'm not some pedophile, perv, sick, psycho-ass freak who is sitting in there riding his life away, because I don't think he's getting out. The more evidence and the more things we find out, I don't see how he's getting out. I don't see it happening. Yeah, he's a nasty fuck. And I can't wait to update y'all on everything that we found out, because the more things find out every day by day, baby, that's what made me realize I have to do this. I have to do this weekly. I'm going to have to touch on this weekly. I cannot just do this once every blue moon. And I'm not going to be able to do it like I did it with the Diddy trial. You know how a Diddy trial was. I did it as soon as some new information popped up. I did a new episode. I can't do that either. That was overwhelming. So I will be doing one more episode every week dedicated to this. So I said it already. I don't know why I'm going back over it again. Whatever. I like to repeat myself sometimes, just to make sure y'all hear me. Because sometimes y'all don't hear me, and I be thinking y'all hear me, but y'all really don't be hearing me. All right. I'm getting beside myself. Back to the topic. Okay. So, according to TMZ, Celeste Rivas Hernandez, cause of death has just been revealed. And the medical examiner in Los Angeles says she was killed by multiple penetrating injuries with unspecified objects, and her death was ruled a homicide. The medical examiner says there are 2 penetrating wounds of the torso with smooth edges that may represent sharp force injuries. The wound on the upper abdominal penetrates the liver, and the wound on the left chest penetrates one of the left intercostal spaces with disruption of the adjacent ribs cortical surfaces. Now notice the medical examiner uses the word may, which is sometimes something the defense is going to jump on, which I'm pretty sure they are. They're going to try to say, well, how can you be determined if it's may, this may happen, or may, this may do that. So I already know that's going to be a problem. But the article goes on to say, the autopsy report says there is a presumptive positive for methamphetamine and MDMA. Oh my God, today. But there was another screening which says methamphetamine was inconclusive and MDMA was not detected. The report says Celeste may have had alcohol in her system, but it did not contribute to her death. The medical examiner also confirms what we were told last week by a high-ranking source in the Los Angeles Police Department. Celeste's manner of death is homicide. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead. Now let's stop here. Okay, so I could go into detail of what else was said. So basically, from the gatherings of what I gathered from the details of the autopsy report, basically, yes. There were 2 puncture-like injuries, one on her liver and one to her chest, which looks like that could have been the main cause of death. There was also, of course, the amputations. Looks like her arms were cut off above the elbows and her arms were cut off above the knee. She's missing a few fingers as well. It's very gruesome because so many questions you have to ask. Like, I don't like cutting up fish. You know what I mean? I cannot imagine sitting there with a human body and trying to, oh my God, I guess cut through the joints. I'm not sure. I try to picture it and I'm just like, I can't fathom even thinking about doing that. On top of that, where could he have been doing this? Because if he was doing this, he had to do this somewhere. If he did it in his house, I'm sure there's evidence in there somewhere because there will be some type of DNA. He wouldn't be able to clean up all of that DNA. Or he could have went to the wooded area. There's been theories that I've been seeing online that possibly he went to like a wooded or forest-like area and did it outside to where, it'll be easy to discard the evidence. It'll be easy to not leave a trace because you're outside in the wilderness and basically the weather can determine what's found and what's not. Like, oh my God. Let me go on and continue the article because there was a little bit more they had to say. Okay. Whew. Prosecutors allege D4VD murdered Celeste with a sharp instrument on April 23rd, 2025, and then waited a couple weeks to cut up her body and stuff it in 2 bags. He then allegedly kept the bags in his Tesla front trunk for 4 months until they were discovered in September 2025 after the car was towed to a tow yard. Cops say the state of the body when found made it difficult for the medical examiner to figure out the cause and manner of death. The body was severely decomposed. Of course, D4VD pled not guilty Monday after being charged with one count each of murder, continuous sexual abuse of a child under the age of 14, and unlawful mutilation of human remains. Now, here's the thing. Oh my God. The idea that you would cut up someone, a child, anyone, someone you claimed, I guess, to have some weird predatory sexual, I don't even want to call it a relationship. I don't know what you call it, with someone, and you would go and not only murder them, mutilate their body parts, separate them into bags like it's trash, and put them in your trunk and keep it there for 4 months is crazy. Now, I don't know if he really kept it in there for 4 months because I know that's a working theory. Some people believe he may have been moving it around because I also think that's what's happened. I don't think he would have kept it in there for 4 months, but where could he have been keeping it? You know what I mean? Where else would you be hiding body parts? You can't just keep that in your closet. Like, there's it's so much more, and I'm just so overwhelmed by the information because, like I said, this is gruesome. To think this stuff alone is sick. To act on these things is sicker. And to try to cover it up and live your day-by-day life is insane to me. Because you didn't think no one was going to find out? And you think this is okay? And you want to plead not guilty to this? Baby, they are going to bury you. And I hope to God they do. Because anyone who could have the energy to do something like this does not deserve freedom. No, does not deserve freedom, does not deserve the space to live, doesn't deserve anything good coming to them. I'm sorry. You deserve the worst. Hell even. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you deserve to burn for all eternity because this is just sick beyond sick. And this is just a little bit of details. Like, I looked at the actual, they had some diagrams and some images, not of her, body, but just where the cuts and things were. And yeah, she was stabbed to death. It was a gruesome murder. And you know how they say people that die from stabbing, it was a passion kill. Mainly, like, the person did it with a lot of heated passion. That's how you usually know it's someone that knows them. That's how you know it's when it's typically a loved one or a spouse of that matter or a abusive partner. Stabbing is just, And of course, they can't determine what object did it. They just know it was clearly a sharp object, but they can't determine because the body has been decomposed for so long that they were able to see there were stab wounds, but they can't tell if it was from like what type of rigid type of knife it was or what type of object it could be. They have no clue. Baby, when I tell you this case is sending me up a wall, and I don't know what to do about it. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do, but to continue to report on it. Now let's talk about something real quick. A part of this whole ordeal that I do enjoy talking about. You know, it does make me feel a little bit better considering this. His current jail conditions, according to TMZ. Let's get into the shit. Let's really talk about this part, because this part right here, yeah, I can rock with this part. Let's go into it. First things first, he's being held in a segregated single jail. Okay. He is also being escorted from his cell to shower, which he is allowed every other day. He can't even shower every day. And when he goes to shower, he has to be escorted to go shower. My nigga can't even just get up and go take a shower. That is a privilege he no longer has. It goes on. Only allowed to make phone calls on the days he can shower. So not only he can only shower every other day, he can't even get a call a day. He can only get a call every other day. Like, he's not even in prison yet, y'all. Like, that is why this is crazy. He's not even in prison. He's in regular jail, and these are his conditions. I'm pretty sure he is. I am pretty sure he is going off on his lawyers. You know that. I'm pretty sure he is like, y'all got to get me out of here. Y'all got to give me better jail. This is wrong. This is inhumane. I'm pretty sure he's doing all of that. And he should. Because you want to know who. Let me finish this. Let me finish this because before I get on my soapbox, because I got something I want to fucking say. So before I say this, let me just go ahead and read this. He gets 3 hours of recreation time with fresh air per week. Not 3 hours per day. Per week. And I'm pretty sure those 3 hours are spread out amongst the 7 days. Bro can't even get fresh air but 3 hours out of, I don't know how many hours is in a week, bro. Do you think about that math real quick? Like, 3 hours out the week to get fresh air is fucking crazy. Now, granted, if this was anybody else and this was any other circumstance and he was in jail for any other reason, I would be like, this is crazy. But no, this seems perfectly suitable for him. Seems like what he deserves. All right. He also has no contact with other inmates doing recreation. So really, I don't know what the hell kind of recreation time he has outside. He must have to go walk in like a little cage or something. I don't know, bitch. This is crazy. He has no access to a TV. Cannot have any visitors. Reportedly has no money on his books at the moment. One law enforcement source described the facility as dirty, smells, and wild. David is reportedly not on suicide watch. Well, bitch, I might want to put him on there. Y'all might want to put him on there because with the way things sound like, that sick fuck might try to off himself. And that's not even me being insensitive. That's just being real. Like, what he dealing with right now and what he's used to dealing with, you have to understand this man was making, his net worth was $2-3 million. He's used to the different type of living at this point. He never would have guessed this is what it was going to be. And this is exactly what it is. Now, let me tell you why I don't give a fuck and why I don't feel bad for his living conditions. Because you know who didn't get to choose their living conditions? Celeste Rivas Hernandez. You think she wanted to be stuffed into 2 bags, grocery bags, healthy bags, cadaver bags, and thrown in a trunk and left for months to be abandoned and found at a tow yard? Do you think she wanted those conditions? Having bugs and insects and all kind of critters crawling over her, melting away and decomposing, and not even being respected after death by being mutilated? Girl, please, fuck you. I say leave his ass in there and don't let him out. He don't need no fucking visitors. His lawyers can talk to the guards. He don't need nothing. Ain't nobody don't put no money on his books. Take the money away, give it to somebody else. Matter of fact, take his money that he deserves for his books and send it to Celeste Hernandez family. How about that? How about that? Because no matter of fact, no, don't worry about it. Don't worry. I'm just gonna say this. Don't get the money to his books, because this is where it's probably going, honestly. Send it to his legal team. His legal team gonna need all the money they can get, because baby, do you see the shit? Do you see the shit that he did? Did you hear the breakdown of the cause of death in the report from the medical examiner, which basically described the gruesome and pain and the grossness of the acts that he took place when he murdered her and after he murdered her? I have no sympathy for him. Literally, he could be living on a cement block with a fucking tree on top of his head for all I care. I don't think he deserves much. Those little 3 hours of fresh air he gets, I hope that's all he ever sees. I hope that's the only sunlight he sees. So while he was sitting there playing anime and pretending all this other stuff, I hope he pretends he's one of the little anime characters stuck in a box somewhere, because that's what he's going to be, hopefully, for the rest of his life. So, if y'all didn't know, today was supposed to be the 23rd, right? April 23rd was supposed to be the preliminary hearing, where basically the judge has to decide if there's enough evidence for it to go to trial. Now, the prosecution said, with the preliminary hearing coming up so soon, they weren't going to be able to have, get all the discovery over to the defense team, which is basically all the evidence. They weren't going to be able to do that because they need more time. Apparently, they have 40 terabytes of evidence, which means that stuff has to download. That stuff has to be uploaded, and that stuff can take forever. We're talking about hours and hours and hours and hours of content and material. That's not going to be easy just to ship over to someone. And apparently, during the preliminary hearing or scheduled hearing today, because that's really what they were doing, prosecution brought up there's also some other issues with this. Reasons why they can't just send a lot of this evidence any other way like they normally would is because there's some child pornography on his phone that was found, which will be used as evidence. Say what now? Yep, that's what they said. Let me look at the TMZ article, because that's what I saw. I want to make sure I saw right. That's what I saw. That's what it said. That's what it saw. That's what it said. Okay, let me look at it. All right. Okay. During the hearing, prosecutors claim they went through his phone and found a significant amount of child porn. It's unclear if the alleged CP features Celeste or not. Oh, boy. Let's stop there before I read anything else about the hearing. It's not surprising that he has this on his phone. Okay, let me rewind. It's not surprising that he's ever had this on his phone, considering that Celeste Hernandez was 14 at the time, you know what I mean? And possibly a lot younger when he met her. What's surprising is that he had it on his phone when they went to raid his home? Sir. And from what I gather, it wasn't his iCloud that they got this from. They got his from his phone, so he still had it on there. And I'm pretty sure they have way more than that, because if that's just on his phone, imagine what's on his laptops. Imagine what's on his iCloud or Google Drive or any other drives that they go into. No wonder it's taking so long. And because that is, we're dealing with child sexual abuse claims and evidence, you can't just send this stuff anywhere and it just leaks, or you have to be very protective of this. So when they upload it, they have to upload it to a very clean computer where there's nobody else using it, nothing else. It's very, very complicating. So they did ask for at least up to 10 more days to send all this discovery information over to the defense team. Because, again, this is sensitive content and sensitive information that they just can't send any other way. Oh, my God. Again, I'm not surprised he had this in his phone. I'm surprised that he carried it in his phone. But at this point, again, he's a sick fuck. Why am I surprised by any of his actions? Furthermore, let me go back to the article because there's more that was more details about the hearing because, like I said, it wasn't a real hearing, but it was a scheduled hearing, so some things were spoken about. And, of course, people were looking at D4DD, whatever his name is, David without the Goliath, whatever. Basically, he was there, shackled, and wore an orange jail jumpsuit, of course. He was calm, cool, collected, and looked kind of bored. He spoke briefly to the judge, telling her yes, ma'am, as she explained to him how the prelim works. His high-powered defense team, led by Blair Burke, told the judge prosecutors had not turned over their evidence, and LAPD district attorney explained the delay. So, which goes back to what I was saying earlier, they want to go to trial early too. They want to go to trial within 60 days. But this discovery and this evidence takes a while for it to upload and for them to get the information over to the defense team. And that's just that simple. They want to get it to them as soon as possible. But we're talking about hours and hours and hours of evidence. They spoke on a wiretap as well, which I'm curious to know more details about. But there was no press conference. So there wasn't a press conference for the DA to come out and actually give us more details about what was going on in the hearing. Because I was curious to know, wait, what wiretap? What y'all tapped? Wait, I have so many questions. I want to know. It's just crazy. And I don't know what else I can really say about it outside of this crazy. Again, it gets to a point where some people are just doing things that's distasteful. And some people are just sick. I think he's somebody who's not just doing something that's distasteful, but he's a sick ass individual to even be doing oh God. I did pull up Mr. Steve Fisher. He's a private investigator that's been following this case. Now I've stopped following him around with his information because sometimes he would give us misleading information. It was just doing way too much. Way too much at sometimes. When I just wanted him just to focus. And you don't have to follow every rabbit hole. And he was. But he did speak and he left his comments. I'm going to read his post from Twitter. I'll never call it that other name. He states, the D4VD preliminary hearing has been continued until May 1st. So that's when it's going to be scheduled for now. They pushed it back to May 1st, which is, I believe, next Friday. Okay. Matters of procedural importance were discussed today, mostly about transferring discovery from the DA office to the defense. Items of interest that came up include that D4VD's devices, plural, contained a significant amount of child porn, which requires special handling. Also, there is a large amount of data from a wiretap. Search warrants will be unsealed. New search warrants from devices at the time of his arrest have not had returns yet. So that means they've put out some more search warrants for other devices that he have, and we're still waiting for that information to come. Sometimes the companies or the manufacturers can take a while to send over that stuff. So we're waiting for all of that information to come. Got it. David did not look confident in court today. In my opinion, he was in an orange jumpsuit and just stared forward. Some people are saying he looked more bored and nonchalant. Some people say he looked uncomfortable. I think he's just disassociating from it. He never thought he was going to get caught. His living conditions suck. And I think he thinks he's screwed. I really do think he thinks he's screwed. And I think he's trying to save face by not giving into it too much, but he's clearly affected by this. You have to keep in mind, he thought he was getting away with it. Nothing had happened in the last few months. He was laying low, hoping that everything would just go under the radar, get brushed under the rug. What ended up happening is not that. What ended up happening, there was a case being built against him. And I think he's sitting in court he doesn't have a lot of emotions because he's probably not typically that type of person. He probably is a person that's typically a shy, lame, quiet guy who doesn't really have a lot of social skills in the first place. So I believe that he's just remaining silent in a shell, looking down on himself, confused and not sure what to do. He's probably scared. And again, living conditions. Hello. So I don't think he was bored. He can never be bored. He's probably uncomfortable. And on top of that, he probably is worried. And he's just trying not to show it, so he's not showing any emotion. I've seen people be stoic to avoid showing emotion and reaction. And that's most likely what he's doing, in my honest opinion. So yeah, I mean, basically, this week has been a lot when it comes to this whole David case, and I'm expecting more information to come out in the coming days. Of course, next Friday, like I said, I will be covering this episode again, where there'll be more information given because there'll be the actual preliminary hearing at that point. So hopefully there'll be more evidence for me to speak on. It'll be a longer episode. Sorry this episode was a little bit shorter, but that's only because the hearing wasn't long enough for me to really go into detail. And of course, there was no other topics going on, so I couldn't cover anything early in the early episode. So I really basically covered as much as I could. Did the best I could. Spoke to you guys so long as I could. But when it comes to the situation, like I said, it's terrifying, it's horrific, and it can be triggering for some people, of course. If you have a child, you understand that you can't control everything they do. That's another thing I hate seeing. People are really going in on a family, and they don't really understand. When you have a kid, there is only so much you can do. You can make the rules, you can ground them, you can tell them what they can and can't do. But when you have a child that runs away at the drop of a dime, what can you do? How do you find them? You put more restrictions on them, they're going to run away faster. They'll leave the phone behind. So how you going to track them? You going to put an air track on them? What can you do? You can't control the kid to the utmost. And we don't know what they've done. We don't know what the family has tried to do to keep her from running away. We don't know the extent of the family's involvement. So I really think people should give them a little bit more grace until we find out more information. If we find out that they was in on this and they was paying him, he was paying them off and everything like that, then we can judge them. But as of right now, all we know is this is a family that had a missing child that likes to run away. And they had no control over the situation. And they're grieving. They're grieving right now. So we have to bear it there and we have to respect that. There's no reason for people to be bashing the family and attacking the family and blaming them for all of this because again, we've all had kids. Well, we've all been kids because I haven't had no damn kids. But we've all been kids and we've all disobeyed. We've all done what the fuck we wanted to do before. And there's no way to avoid that, unfortunately. No way to avoid that. Oh boy. But yeah, like I said, you guys, I'll be back next Friday, May 1st. That's when the preliminary hearing will be. And I'll be able to touch on some more information regarding the David case. Of course, I'll be here on Tuesday, of course, with my regular main episode. And on Friday will be the David coverage. If you didn't get it in the beginning, I'm making sure I'm saying it again. So, yeah, you guys, I thank you for all the support. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for checking me out. Make sure you hit my other socials up if you have any Q&A. So just support me. You know what I mean? Support me, bitch. Like Nene said, support me. So, yeah. And I'll see you next week. Love you, mean it. And on that note, I did enjoy myself talking to you today. I hope you enjoyed yourself. And if you did, come back next Wednesday. Every Wednesday after that. Tune in to what I got to say. And yeah, just keep linking with Robbie.